This wasn't a plea born of physical desire, but the raw, shattered cry of a soul who had lost everything. Lucas Mandus had the world in the palm of his hand. A real estate empire worth $500 million, a penthouse overlooking Ipanema Beach, a fleet of luxury cars, and the admiration of Rio's elite. But a single moment on a rain-slicked highway stole the one thing his fortune couldn't reclaim: his ability to walk. At 42, the man who once commanded boardrooms from the 50th floor was now imprisoned in a wheelchair, deserted by his society fiancée, stabbed in the back by partners who saw his weakness as an opportunity, and utterly isolated in his vast, silent home. Then came Sophia. She was 24, the daughter of Maria, the housekeeper who had served the Mandus family with unwavering loyalty for decades. Sophia had just earned her physiotherapy license. Inexperienced and gentle, she possessed an inner resilience she had yet to fully discover. When Lucas hired her as his living caregiver, neither could have predicted that the intimate, essential acts of healing would dismantle every barrier he had built, that his profound vulnerability would ignite her deep compassion, and that the day he whispered those desperate words during an agonizing therapy session, he was speaking of a spiritual hunger that would redefine both their destinies forever. This is a tale of two fractured lives intersecting at the precise instant the universe intended. And if you remain until the final moment, you will see that authentic affection recognizes no social boundaries, and that occasionally, the simplest hearts hold the unique capacity to mend the most broken spirits. The rhythmic chirping of hospital monitors was the soul noise piercing the quiet of the private wing at Hospital Copa Star. Lucas Mandus blinked, his eyes open. The sterile white lights stung. He attempted to shift his weight, and a searing jolt of agony ripped through his back. But the true horror arrived when he comprehended something far worse than the pain. His legs were utterly unresponsive. He tried to flex his toes. Nothing. Tried to lift his knees. Nothing. Asterisk from his waist down. His body was a foreign, useless object, a heavy burden he would be forced to carry for the remainder of his days. At 42, Lucas had built his kingdom from the ground up. Mandus Holdings stood among Rio's most prestigious firms, towering condos in Lebanon, commercial giants on Avenida das Americas, public works contracts valued in the hundreds of millions. He was the son of a laborer who died in a worksite collapse when Lucas was just 16. He vowed he would never be another forgotten name on an accident report. He won a full scholarship to the renowned Federal University of Rio de Janeiro's engineering program, worked nights carrying materials, paid his dues with grit and relentless determination. By 26, he started his own firm. By 32, he was a millionaire. By 42, a multimillionaire. But the price was becoming a person he scarcely recognized in the glass, hardened, pragmatic, merciless in deals, emotionally distant. His fiancée, Camila Porto, scion of an old Rio industrial family, was the ideal match on paper. Stunning, driven, polished. Their engagement was less a romance and more a strategic alliance, to influential names, to fortunes that would merge, political and social access guaranteed. The crash occurred 1 month prior. He was piloting his Audi back from a negotiation in Barra, finalizing a massive deal on speakerphone, when a bus hydroplaned on the Linha Amarela overpass. The collision was devastating. The vehicle was crushed. Emergency crews said his survival defied odds. But when he awoke and the specialist delivered the diagnosis, Lucas wished he hadn't. Total paraplegia, L1 spinal injury, significant trauma, less than a 5% chance of meaningful recovery. Lifetime wheelchair use, intensive, perpetual physiotherapy, round-the-clock assistance. An existence completely alien to the one he had known. Camila paid one visit. She appeared in designer stilettos carrying a Prada bag, her makeup impeccable, perched on the edge of his bed, glanced at her screen more than at him, and after 20 minutes of hollow sympathy said a charity gala waited, and departed. 40-8 hours later, a text message materialized: no visit, no call. Just stark digital type. I can't handle this, Lucas. I'm not built to be a nurse. I have my own future to consider. Forgive me. She blocked his number instantly. 3 years together. 10 months engaged. A ceremony planned for December at the Copacabana Palace with 300 attendees. All undone by 37 cold words. His associates were more brutal. They arrived as a pack. wearing somber masks, clutching thick binders, discussed operational stability, brand perception, shareholder calm. Proposed he resign as chairman, delegate authority, allow them to manage everything while he focused on healing. Lucas knew their game perfectly, a hostile takeover while he was defenseless. He screamed at them to get out, swearing that Mandus Holdings was his creation alone, but in his core, he understood the frightening reality: without mobility, without a physical presence at sites or meetings, how long could he possibly remain in control? 7 weeks post-accident, he was released and went back to the triple-level penthouse in Ipanema, the home he purchased as a trophy of his triumph. Now every step was a taunt. Every spacious hall, every vacant room, every reflection of a man in a chair shouted the same message. He was totally, hopelessly, achingly solitary. Only Maria stayed, the housekeeper who had been with the family for 20 years. She prepared meals, cleaned, assisted with the fundamental tasks he could no longer manage himself. But he required more. He needed a dedicated caregiver trained in rehabilitation, someone to aid with washing, workouts, mobility. Dr. Almeida, his longtime doctor, suggested hiring a specialized nurse. Lucas met with 4. All were highly skilled. All watched him with sympathy, that patronizing stare, that gentle tone reserved for infants, that cautious contact as if he might break. He dismissed everyone. He didn't want their pity. He wanted his self-respect back. One evening, while bringing tea to the terrace where Lucas spent afternoons gazing at the inaccessible skyline, Maria spoke softly. My girl Sophia just got her physiotherapy diploma from UFRJ, she said with quiet dignity. She works at a public clinic in Complexo du Mal, earning very little, but she has a gift, commitment, and the purest heart I know. She spent her youth looking after me when I was ill, studying late, working days. She's reserved, never been with anyone, but if anyone can assist you with dedication and skill, it's her. Lucas was skeptical. The housekeeper's 24-year-old daughter, no private client background. Yet something in Maria's portrait, a young woman who had put others first, her whole life resonated within him. He consented to it. Interview. He had no clue that choice would alter his destiny permanently. If you're still watching, thank you. What unfolds between Lucas and Sophia will test all your assumptions about genuine connection. Don't click away. Comment real love stays if you believe Camila never valued Lucas. Sophia Pereira navigated the crowded lanes of Complexo du Mal, her worn satchel slung over one shoulder, moving past food stalls and market stands. The afternoon heat was oppressive. She was damp with sweat after a 10-hour day at the Esperanza Community Clinic. 20 patients that day, elderly fall victims, post-surgery recoveries, work injuries, individuals who relied on public health care and depended on her completely. 5,000 reais monthly. That was her income. Just sufficient for her small rental, her mother's hypertension pills, transport, and food. Nothing extra. No new outfits. No social life. No simple pleasures other 24-year-olds enjoyed. But Sophia never voiced discontent. She had learned early that the world was unjust. Some entered life with privilege, others with struggle. The only thing that counted was how you played the hand you were dealt. Her mother raised her alone, cleaning luxurious apartments from morning until evening, returning drained but always smiling for her daughter, always ensuring Sophia could get an education. When Maria was diagnosed with high blood pressure years ago, Sophia resolved to become a physiotherapist to assist people like her mother, people who labored until their bodies gave out and deserved respect regardless of their financial status. She graduated top of her class, refused to lucrative positions in upscale zones, chose to remain in Mal, serving those who genuinely needed her. That day, when she entered their small flat, Maria was at the kitchen table with a look Sophia couldn't decipher. Mom, what is it? Maria poured juice with slow, careful motions. I have news, my child. News that could alter our path. But you must listen with an open spirit. She told Sophia about Lucas Mandus, the crash, the injury, the treachery, the solitude. About the proposition, 20,000 reals weekly. Her own suite in the penthouse. Full-time live-in PHYSIOTHERAPIST. Sophia felt the world tilt. 80,000 reais a month. Enough for her mother's needed surgery. Enough to clear all debts. Enough to finally breathe. But why choose her? There were seasoned therapists with advanced degrees, private practices, networks. She was a novice. And then the deeper anxiety, the one she hardly acknowledged. She had never been intimate with a man, never been kissed, never had a relationship. And now she would have to wash, dress, and provide intimate care for a 42-year-old stranger. The idea frightened her deeply. But when she saw her mother's weary, hopeful face, when she considered the patients who would continue suffering without more resources, when she computed how much that money could achieve not just for them, but for countless others, she knew refusal wasn't an option. "All right, Mom," she murmured. "I'll meet him. But if it's too difficult, I return home." Maria beamed through tears. "Agreed. But you're more capable than you realize." 2 days later, Sophia stood shaking before the sleek security gates of the Mandus penthouse in Ipanema. She straightened her plain top and skirt, inhaled deeply, and pressed the intercom. A staff member ushered her through halls decorated with art and furnishings worth more than her entire existence. And there he was beside the panoramic windows, in a sophisticated wheelchair, observing the city with hollow eyes, even broken. Lucas Mandus was strikingly attractive, tall, strong-built, defined jaw, intense gaze that seemed to look right into her. But what struck Sophia wasn't his appearance. It was the profound isolation surrounding him. "So you're Maria's daughter," he stated coldly. "The one who's supposedly going to restore my life." Sophia met his stare. "My name is Sophia Pereira. Mr. Mandus, I can't guarantee your former life returns, but I can pledge to give my all to help you construct a new one." He studied her for an extended moment, then a cynical half smirk. "Let's see how long you endure, Sophia Pereira. Let's see if you flee like the rest when you understand what tending to a man like me truly involves." Neither suspected it then, but in that instant, their fates had already intertwined. "Do you think Sophia can restore not only Lucas's body, but his crushed spirit? Or is his anguish too profound for anyone to reach?" The initial day started at 6 a.m. Sophia had scarcely rested. Anxiety, dread, the burden of entering a universe where she didn't fit. She dressed in her fresh white medical scrubs, pinned her hair up, and went to the room converted into a private rehab gym. She knocked, no reply. Knocked again. Finally a gruff, annoyed voice, "Enter." Lucas was by the window in the identical position. Unshaven, eyes dark, a nearly empty brandy glass nearby. "Good morning, Mr. Mandus. I'm here for your initial assessment and session." He didn't face her. "You know the issue with people like you, Sophia. You arrive brimming with optimism, imagining you'll change things. Then after 7 days of the truth of what it truly involves to care for someone like me, you bolt and never look back. I am not the others," she stated calmly, placing her bag down. "And I do not run." He finally turned, eyes harsh, designed to frighten her off before connection could form and desertion could wound again. "Oh really? Then let me clarify precisely what this role entails. You will have to bathe me, see me unclothed, touch areas of my body you've likely never touched on any man, aid me with fundamental needs that are degrading for me and probably revolting for you. Still believe you won't run." He rushed to her face, shame coiling in her gut, but she held his gaze. "I am a qualified physiotherapist, Mr. Mandus. I studied human anatomy for 4 years. I've treated patients of all backgrounds and states. The human form doesn't shame me, it earns my reverence. And if you believe you can intimidate me with blunt truths about caregiving demands, you are mistaken." For the first time, Lucas seemed genuinely taken aback. He had anticipated blushing, stammering, justifications escaped. Instead stood a petite, young woman with iron in her tone. "Fine," he said after a prolonged silence. "Then we start. I require a bath. Let's witness if you're as clinical as you assert." The bathing process was the most challenging task Sophia had ever performed, not due to the physical action she had trained for this, but due to the emotional closeness she hadn't foreseen. She assisted his transfer to the shower chair. He moved stiffly using his powerful arms but avoided her look the whole time, jaw tight with humiliation. When it was time to remove his clothes, she remained composed and professional, describing each step, requesting consent even when unnecessary. I will take off your shirt now. Are you ready? Now I'll help with your trousers. Any pain in your legs? He stayed mute, staring at the tiles. And in that moment, something changed within Sophia. This wasn't merely a patient. This was a human being enduring suffering that extended far beyond the physical. Lucas, she said gently, using his first name for the first time. I know this is painful. I know you feel exposed and ashamed. But I need you to know something. I do not see you as feeble. I see you as immensely strong, enduring the toughest challenge of your life. He finally looked at her. Tears welled in his dark eyes, tears he fought to contain in her presence. Don't speak as if you know me, he said roughly. You know nothing about me. You're correct, she conceded, adjusting the water temperature. I don't know you, but I would like to. Not the millionaire. Not the tycoon. The man who's here now, struggling to find a purpose to continue. For the next half hour, Sophia watched him with a mix of medical expertise and gentleness he hadn't experienced since childhood. No unneeded remarks. No false positivity. No patronizing voice. Just quiet honor. When it concluded and she helped him into fresh clothes, Lucas felt drained but also, oddly, unburdened. He had passed the first trial, and more crucially, Sophia hadn't fled. Now we'll conduct a full mobility evaluation, she said, helping him onto the therapy table. For the next hour she worked systematically, checking joints, muscles, responses, making notes, asking detailed questions about feeling and discomfort. Initially his replies were single words. Slowly they became sentences. Then he posed inquiries of his own. Is there any possibility I'll stand again? She stopped writing and met his eyes. The physicians told you under 5%, correct? He nodded bitterly. Numbers are data, Lucas, not destiny. I've witnessed patients with grimmer prognoses regain function experts declared impossible. And I've seen patients with better odds never improve. You know what separates them? Spirit, perseverance, dedication, even when it's agonizing. Even when it seems futile. Your body can achieve remarkable adaptation, but it requires you to trust it's achievable. He watched her for a long time. I don't know if I can trust in anything anymore. Then for now, she said simply, I will trust for both of us. Something in those words and the quiet assurance of her voice touched a place deep inside him. For the first time in months, a small ember glowed. Not quite faith, but wonder what might occur if he actually attempted. The remainder of the morning was basic stretches and conditioning. She pushed him to his edges but never over. Explained every movement. Acknowledged minor successes. When they finished near lunch, Lucas was spent in a way he hadn't been since before the accident, the good kind of fatigue. That comes from genuine exertion. Tomorrow we repeat, Sophia stated, organizing her kit. And each day will be slightly more demanding because you're growing stronger. And I'll expect more. Sounds like punishment, he grumbled. The faintest hint of a smile touched his lips. It is, she smiled back. But it's the punishment you need to become the person you wish to be again. After she departed, Lucas sat by the window, but this time he wasn't watching the city with resentment. He was thinking about the 24-year-old woman who didn't fear him, who didn't treat him as a casualty, who spoke of healing as if it were real. Downstairs in the kitchen, Maria noticed something new in her daughter's expression. How was it, child? Sophia exhaled deeply. It's complex, Mom. He's profoundly injured, not just physically. He's furious at existence, at fate, at himself. But beneath all that rage, there's a decent man who just needs to recall how to feel. Again, Maria smiled with maternal insight. Then you two are ideally matched. He requires someone who sees the person behind the suffering, and you need to learn that helping others doesn't mean neglecting yourself. Sophia nodded, though she didn't fully grasp yet. She would weeks later, when she understood what began as employment was evolving into something much more profound and much more risky. Thank you for staying with us. The bond between Lucas and Sophia is merely commencing. What they're about to learn about each other will transform all they believed about affection and salvation. Comment: Sophia is a healer if you feel she is precisely what Lucas required. 3 weeks later, a strict schedule was in place: 6 a.m., washing and personal care 7:30, meal 8 o'clock, First strengthening session 11 o'clock. Second session concentrating on lower body 3 p.m. Functional therapy 5 o'clock. Therapeutic massage. 9 p.m. Bedtime preparation because had ceased fighting. Not because he became compliant but because he found Sophia was as determined as he was. When he protested an exercise was too painful, she answered that discomfort signaled muscles were engaging. Asterisk when he tried to wound her with sharp words meant to drive her off. She gazed at him with boundless patience and said his language didn't frighten her, it stemmed from terror. Not malice, but something else was blooming between them, something neither anticipated. In the still moments between repetitions, when he recovered his breath and she calibrated equipment, they started to converse. Not pleasantries. Authentic dialogue. The kind most evade because it demands too much openness. One afternoon during a leg massage, everything shifted permanently. Sophia's hands worked with professional accuracy, but also with a kindness that surpassed method. Why did you choose physiotherapy? Lucas inquired suddenly. She didn't cease her motions, but her voice softened. Because when I was 14, I saw my grandfather pass in a crowded hospital waiting area. Because when I was 14, I saw my grandfather pass in a crowded hospital waiting area. He had a heart attack while working as a janitor. No private plan. Just two nurses for 60 people. Nobody had capacity to attend to him properly. He died alone on a stretcher while my mom and I stood outside with no updates. Lucas turned his head to watch her. I'm sorry, Sophia. Me too. But that day showed me something. Impoverished individuals shouldn't endure more. Simply because they lack funds. Every person merits being treated with honor. So I decided I would become the presence I wished had been there for my grandfather. And why take this position? He asked. I'm exactly the type of wealthy individual you likely disliked. I don't dislike you, she said truthfully. I accepted because my mom required an operation we couldn't pay for. But I remained because I found something unexpected. What? That suffering doesn't choose. You can possess 500 million, race, and still be just as damaged as someone who has zero. Real riches aren't in an account. It's in having individuals who remain when you stumble. Lucas felt something tighten in his throat. Then, I must be the most destitute man alive. No, she corrected tenderly. You're the most solitary man alive. But that can shift. How? By allowing someone closer. By ceasing to push people away before they can harm you. By daring to trust again. I did trust, he said bitterly. Camila left me when I needed her most. My associates deceived me. Companions disappeared when I stopped being beneficial. Then you trusted the incorrect people. She said simply. But that doesn't mean all people are identical. And you? He asked, voice low. You're different. I don't know, she confessed. But I'm here. Correct. 21 days of your darkest hours and I haven't fled yet. Yet, he echoed. Yet, she repeated with a slight grin. But each day that goes by makes it less probable, a lengthy, comfortable quiet filled with unspoken sentiments. Finally, Lucas asked what had occupied his thoughts since their meeting. Why have you never had a partner, Sophia? A woman like you, intelligent, compassionate, lovely, should have companionship. Warmth rose to her cheeks, but she didn't avert her eyes. Never had the opportunity. Cared for my mom when she became sick. Worked and studied. And truthfully, never encountered anyone worth risking my serenity for. Not even once. There was a man in university. Invited me out repeatedly. Seemed pleasant. But when I explained I couldn't go out on weekends due to work and family duties, he stopped calling. Found someone with fewer complications. He was a fool, Lucas stated with certainty. Probably. She agreed. But it taught me something vital. The right partner won't view my obligations as burdens. They'll see them as components of who I am. And you're still waiting for that person. Sophia looked at him and something new was in her gaze. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm living my path. If someone appears who can walk alongside me without demanding I become less than I am, it will be a blessing. If not, I'm content alone. Lucas felt profound respect for this young woman who spoke with insight he, at 42, was only starting to comprehend. You know what's most ironic? He said after a pause. What? I spent 42 years surrounded by individuals forging bonds based on shared advantage, professional profit, social appropriateness. And the first genuine discussion I've had in years is with someone I compensate to be here. I'm not here solely for the compensation anymore, Lucas, she said softly. Initially, yes, I won't deceive you. But now I stay because I desire to witness your improvement. Because I trust there's a remarkable man underneath all that anguish. And because, honestly, I enjoy our talks. Even when you're harsh. Especially when you're harsh because each time you attempt to push me aside and I remain. It's a minor triumph against the dread that rules you. You're too perceptive for your age. And you're too clever to keep acting. You don't care about anything. That night, Lucas lay awake observing the ceiling, unable to cease thinking of her, of how she perceived him not as a fallen magnet or a pathetic cripple, but as a human being battling to live. In the staff suite on the upper level, Sophia couldn't sleep either. She was thinking of the way his expression softened when he lowered his defenses, the way his eyes sparkled at slight progress, the rare authentic chuckle that emerged when she shared amusing clinic tales. She was thinking things a professional physiotherapist should never think about a client, and it frightened her. Because Sophia Pereira, the 24-year-old who had never been kissed, was falling for Lucas Mandus, and she knew that a 40-year-old millionaire from Ipanema and a woman from Complexo Duolemão existed in spheres that could never truly merge, but the heart, she would soon find, doesn't comprehend logic or social divides. Once it begins to feel, there's no containing it. If you've reached this point, thank you. What occurs next will transform everything between Lucas and Sophia permanently. The boundary between professional and deeply personal is ready to shatter, and neither is prepared for the fallout. Comment a phrase from this section that resonated with you most. 2 months passed. Early June. Rio prepared for cooler winds. Inside the Mandus penthouse, a very different tempest was forming. Lucas had improved beyond any medical prediction. He now sensed prickling in his legs, feelings that were absent before. Sometimes he could activate muscles that had been still for months, insufficient to stand, but infinitely superior to the bleak 5% forecast. Dr. Almeida came to assess him and was astonished. I don't know what your physiotherapist is doing, he told Lucas, examining the fresh scans, but it's effective. Nerves reactivating, muscles firing where they shouldn't. This is exceptional. But Lucas knew it wasn't just the therapy. It was Sophia. Her supportive tone when he wanted to surrender. Her real smile at his cynicism. Her endless tolerance when agony made him vicious. The way she touched him not just with skilled fingers, but with fingers that genuinely cherished, and that scared him more than the injury because he was developing love for her. With a 24-year-old who merited dating men her age, living freely, not sacrificing her youth, nursing a damaged man 18 years her senior, he vowed he would never cross that line. Maintain strict professionalism, shield her from his complex, selfish emotions. But one morning everything shifted. Lucas had a horrific night. His right shoulder seized completely at am, an intense muscle cramp that woke him panting in torture. Each motion intensified it. He endured silently, perspiring, clenching his jaw, waiting for 6 a.m. When Sophia entered at the scheduled hour, she discovered him ashen, drenched, clearly in misery. Lucas, what occurred? My shoulder, he gritted out. Froze at 2. Can't move. The anguish. She evaluated instantly, hands expert in caring. Severe spasm. Why didn't you call me? Didn't want to disturb you. She held his look for a prolonged moment. Assisting you is never a disturbance. It's my role. And besides, the words caught in her throat. She had nearly revealed too much. Besides what? He pressed, even through suffering, needing to hear it. Besides, I care for you, she finished softly. More than I ought to. But that's a talk for later. Now I must release this tissue before it creates lasting harm. She helped him to the therapy table. Just the movement made him cry out. Lie on your stomach. This will hurt severely, but we have no alternative. He lay down, steeling himself. She warmed the area first with gentle pressure. Then, I'm stretching now. Breathe with me. In through the nose, out through the mouth, he attempted. When she took his arm and started the deep extension, pain detonated like lightning. A scream ripped from his throat. Tears streamed, not just from physical torment but from everything he had suppressed for months. The fear of never walking, The shame of reliance, the solitude of being deserted by all he believed cared, the ache of loving someone he could never earn. And in the midst of that unbearable suffering, in total exposure, the words escaped before he could restrain them. Sophia. His voice fractured. I need you to love me. Her hands stilled. Her heart stalled. Lucas, what? Don't pull away, he whispered, tears flowing freely now, or the pain will be unbearable. She stood frozen, holding his arm in the stretch. In total shock, he opened his eyes and stared directly into hers raw, naked fragility. I'm not speaking of intimacy, Sophia, he said, voice breaking. I'm speaking of love. I need to be loved. I need someone to perceive me as more than a recovery case or an asset. I need to feel like I am significant, truly significant to someone. Sophia felt her own tears rising. Lucas, I spent 42 years constructing barriers, he continued, the words pouring out in a desperate torrent, believing love was a flaw. That emotion made you weak. That unlocking your spirit gave others power to ruin you. And I was correct, Camila ruined me. My partners betrayed me. Everyone I permitted close injured me. So don't let me in, she whispered. Guard yourself. Keep the barriers high. I can't, he admitted, voice utterly shattered. It's too late. You're already inside, Sophia. You walked through every barrier. And now I'm more frightened than ever because I finally discovered someone worth loving. And I have zero to offer except this, a broken man who can't even stand. Sophia carefully released his arm and sat on the table's edge, hands shaking. Lucas, you don't comprehend. I'm frightened too. Of what? Of this, she gestured between them. Of what I experience. Because I crossed that line weeks ago. And each day I spend with you, every conversation, every minor when I fall a little deeper in love with you. And I know it's improper. I'm your physiotherapist. You're 18 years older. We originate from entirely separate worlds. So you understand exactly why this can never occur. He said, though his heart pleaded her to disagree. No, she corrected firmly. I understand exactly why society will condemn us. But I don't know why it can't occur if we both desire it. If we're both willing to confront the results. Sophia, I can't stand. Perhaps never will. I can't give you a conventional life. I can't take you strolling. I can't even rise to embrace you. And who decided that's what I require? She asked, voice strengthening. Lucas, I didn't fall for your legs. I fell for your sharp intellect, your dry wit, the manner you push me, the way you struggle daily even when it aches, the goodness you conceal behind pride, the person you are, not the person you were. You don't grasp what you're stating. The newness will fade. You'll realize you gave up your prime for someone who can never provide what you merit. And why don't you allow me to decide that? She retorted. I'm 24, not a child. I know what I feel. And it's authentic. Silence electric. Charged. If we do this, Lucas said slowly, if we cross this boundary, there's no return. Everything alters. I know, she whispered. People will gossip. They'll say terrible things about you, that you're targeting my wealth. Let them, she said. I know the truth. I could harm you. Sophia, I carry excessive emotional weight. Everyone carries scars. Lucas, the difference is whether we let them limit us or let someone help mend them. He extended his hand, the sole thing he could do from the table. Sophia observed it for long seconds, knowing that if she accepted it, her path would shift forever. She accepted it, their fingers laced. And that simple contact was more closeness, more truth, more pledge than 1,000 ardent embraces. I'm afraid, she confessed. Me too, he said. But perhaps it's time to be courageous together. Slowly, allowing him time to withdraw. Sophia leaned forward. He didn't move, didn't desire to. When her lips finally met his, it was gentle, tentative. Tender. Her first kiss. His first sincere kiss in years. And in that space full of medical gear and reminders of limitation, two damaged souls discovered something neither had dared dream of. Hope, unity, love. The type that doesn't require perfect forms or ideal situations. The type that simply exists because two people chose to see each other wholly and love regardless. Do you believe authentic love can conquer any barrier? Or are Lucas and Sophia destined to hurt because of the worlds they originate from? The subsequent 14 days were the most joyful Lucas had ever known. They had crossed the invisible line but cautiously, honorably, building upon the foundation of trust already created. They informed no one yet. Maria suspected mother's always sensed but remained silent, observing with guarded hope. Lucas's physical advancement accelerated. He could now sense pressure in both legs, sometimes shift his toes intentionally. Physicians termed it miraculous. He knew the real miracle had a name. Sophia. One Thursday afternoon, everything collapsed. Sophia concluded the session early so Lucas could take a vital call with his legal team. She went to the utility room to clean her uniforms. The utility room was adjacent to a small office Maria used for household tasks. The door was slightly open, and from inside came a voice Sophia recognized immediately, Camila Porto. What was Lucas's ex-fiancée doing here? Sophia approached silently. Something in Camilla's icy, scheming tone made her halt, and then she heard terms that froze her blood. Camila was on her mobile, speaking quietly but not quietly enough. The attorney states with the health documents we acquired. We can have him ruled mentally unfit in days, Camila said, voice poisonous. He's oblivious. He's so occupied with his little physio from the favela, he's not even reviewing the paperwork. By the time he awakens, we'll have total command of Mandus Holdings. And you, my dear, will be the new president. A pause. Relax, Eduardo. Lucas is done. Physically, he's a cripple, and soon we'll demonstrate he's mentally unstable too. The psychiatrist we compensated will testify. The magistrate is bought. All is arranged. Another pause. Then a laugh like shattering crystal. The physiotherapist? She's a nothing from Alemao. No funds for attorneys, no contacts. If she tries to meddle, we obliterate her. A few incriminating images. Some well-placed gossip about an unprofessional relationship with a susceptible client. Her profession is finished. Sophia stood motionless behind the door, heart hammering so fiercely she feared they'd detect. Camila ended the call, collected some left-behind files, and exited. Sophia waited 5 full minutes, trembling with fury and terror, before daring to move. They weren't merely planning to steal Lucas's firm. They were going to use her to accomplish it and ruin her in the procedure. She had to inform Lucas, but how without destroying him entirely? He was just beginning to heal, to trust and love anew. This could demolish everything. That night, after the evening meal, after the household departed, Sophia entered his suite. He was by the window, city lights gleaming in his eyes, grinning when he saw her. Hello, beautiful. The grin shattered her heart because she was about to crush it. Lucas, I must tell you something grave. Something I overheard today. It's going to wound. The grin vanished. Tell me. She recounted everything, each term of Camilla's scheme, the falsified health reports, the paid psychiatrist, the corrupted magistrate, the lover Eduardo waiting to seize the company, the plan to wreck Sophia if she intervened. Lucas listened in total silence. His face didn't alter, but Sophia saw his jaw tighten. His hands formed fists. When she concluded, the quiet was overwhelming. She anticipated explosion, rage, something to fracture. Instead came ice-cold tranquility. The tranquility of a man who had just declared war. You possess evidence? He asked, voice perfectly controlled. No, she confessed, voice quivering. I merely overheard. I didn't record anything. It's my testimony against hers. And she has wealth, influence, networks. That's why I feared to tell you. He watched her intensely. Sophia, look at me. Do you have faith in me? Absolutely. I would never question you. Then that's all the confirmation I require. If you state she's doing this, then she is. And we will halt her. How? A cold, predatory smile. Camila committed one fatal error. What? She underestimated the incorrect person. Not me. You. Sophia knelt beside his chair, eye level. Lucas. I'm terrified. She stated she'll annihilate my career if I interfere. He took her face in his hands. Nobody will contact you. Nobody will injure you. I swear. Because now you're not confronting the solo. You have me. And when Lucas Manes protects someone he loves, heaven help anyone who attempts to harm her. It was the inaugural time he voiced love aloud. Sophia felt tears burn. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," he replied. "And that's why we're going to win this conflict together." That night he made calls he hadn't made in months to the sole lawyer he completely trusted, to a discreet investigator, to press contacts who still respected him. When he terminated the final call, he looked at Sophia, who had remained by his side all evening. "Tomorrow the counterstrike starts," he said with iron resolve. "Camila desires to play vicious. She forgot I created the game. Lucas and Sophia's love is ready to encounter its ultimate test, but united they are more powerful than anyone conceives. Comet, united they are unbreakable if you trust they will overcome Camila." The next days were a calculated hurricane of strategy. Dr. Silva, Lucas's loyal attorney of 28 years, arrived with cases full of documents. "In 28 years," he said, spreading files across the desk, "I've witnessed numerous betrayals. But this one is especially intricate. Camila submitted papers 10 days ago alleging your physical state has induced mental decline. 3 psychiatrists who never assessed you are prepared to swear you're incapable of running your enterprise. The judge is purchased." Sophia felt fury simmering. "How is this lawful?" "It isn't," Silva stated coldly. "But when you possess sufficient capital, you can purchase testimony." He displayed bank transfers, fabricated documents, evidence of a 1.5 million reals payoff to the magistrate. "The hearing is in 8 days." Silva continued. "If the judge decides for her, she gains legal custody over you and complete control of your assets and firm." "And how do we prevent it?" Sophia asked, gripping Lucas's hand with undeniable truth. Silva answered, "We must prove 3 things. Lucas is mentally sound. Camila is acting deceptively. This is a criminal plot. We already have independent psychiatric exams scheduled. The investigator is tracking their money, but we require one more element. Camila implicating herself on recording." Lucas and Sophia exchanged a glance. They would set a trap. Over the next 7 days, Lucas trained like a man possessed because something impossible happened. One evening during massage, Sophia sensed it. Deliberate movement. Lucas bent his left knee, then his right, then raised his foot centimeters off the mattress. They wept, laughed, embraced each other, shaking with elation. For the first time, genuine neurological return. From that night onward, Lucas multiplied therapy sessions. For hours morning, for hours afternoon. Agony beyond words. Day 1, stood gripping parallel bars for 45 seconds. Day 3, took 5 steps with Sophia's complete support. Day 5, walked 8 meters with a walker. Day 7, 15 meters with a cane. Day 9, walked without aid from bedroom to lounge, limping, sweating. Each step a war, but walking. When he collapsed onto the couch, spent but victorious, Sophia, Maria, and Dr. Silva were crying. "In 28 years as a lawyer," Silva said, voice choked, "I've never seen a man literally rise from a chair through pure determination and affection." The next day, Lucas called Camila. She answered on the second ring, artificial sweetness in her tone. "Lucas, what a shock. How are you feeling?" "Superior to you can imagine," he said neutrally. "Camila, I've been reflecting. Perhaps we erred in concluding our relationship. I owe you a discussion. Can you visit tomorrow at 3? Quiet, then calculated curiosity. "I suppose I can manage." The bait was placed. All was prepared for the final confrontation. Lucas had learned to walk again. He had proof. He had Sophia's love. But would it be sufficient to defeat a woman with 0 limits to her ruthlessness? Thank you for arriving this far. The next section is the instant you've anticipated. Justice is arriving. Don't miss it. At precisely 3 p.m. Camila Porto arrived in a black Range Rover, dressed in a taupe Dior outfit and a flawless smile she had perfected for decades. Maria received her with frosty politeness and guided her to the main lounge. Lucas's voice called from the grand staircase. "I'm up here." Camila turned in, petrified. Lucas Mandus stood at the staircase's summit, on his own 2 feet. No wheelchair, no cane. Clad in a custom-tailored suit, radiating the authoritative aura of the executive he once was, he started to descend slowly. purposefully each step a monument. 2 months of brutal labor. 1 step, 2, 3. Camila retreated, all pigment leaving her complexion. Lucas, you can't stand. The specialist said I had under 5% odds, he interrupted, reaching the base and advancing toward her. Turns out I'm in that 5%. She tried to rebound, mine sprinting. This is incredible. Lucas, this alters everything, does it? He inquired, halting 1 meter away. Inform me, Camila, what exactly does it alter? I don't comprehend what you mean. He retrieved his phone and pressed play. Pristine audio filled the space. Camilla's voice from the utility room call. Every treacherous syllable captured by concealed microphones installed after Sophia's alert. Camila went pale as a ghost. Stop it, she whispered. Why? Don't wish to hear yourself conspiring to steal all I constructed. Declaring me mentally incapable. Menacing to ruin an innocent woman's livelihood. You possess no lawful recording. True, he said. This specific recording may not hold in court, but I have ample that will. Dr. Silva emerged from the neighboring room holding a thick dossier. Miss Porto, he said with a glacial smile, spreading papers across the surface. Bank wires of 50 million, raised to hidden accounts, counterfeit medical documents, evidence of the 1.5 million reals bribed to the Magistrate Tedrudo's complete record of corporate deception. This is adequate for 15 years in prison. Silva continued. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, corruption of a public official. And the federal police are quite interested. We have an appointment tomorrow morning. Camila stared in horror. You can't do this, she whispered. I have alliances. You have nothing. Lucas cut in, voice like iron. No capital, your accounts will be sealed. No friends when the press discovers you tried to loot a man in a wheelchair. Your family reputation will be radioactive. Tears destroyed her perfect cosmetics. Please, she begged, all facade vanish. We can resolve this. I'll return the funds. Drop the lawsuit. You can go to prison, Lucas stated without pity. Or accept my proposition. She clutched at hope. What proposition? You will sign a full admission detailing every component of the conspiracy. Return every reel stolen. Withdraw all legal motions. And vanish from my life and this city permanently. In exchange, I won't file criminal charges or devastate your family publicly. And Eduardo, Silva added, will vanish too. We have sufficient to have him imprisoned. Camila crumpled onto the sofa, weeping. How long do I have to choose? 20 seconds. At 21, I contact the federal police and this becomes public instantly. She signed every paper with trembling hands. When completed, Lucas called Sophia downstairs. She descended in simple attire, but with a nobility no designer brand could purchase. Camila glared at her with pure venom. This is Sophia Pereira, Lucas said, placing an arm around her waist and drawing her near. The woman who rescued me when you forsook me. The woman who had faith in me when nobody else did. The woman I love and will share the remainder of my life with. She's a social climber from the favela. Camila spat. Sophia spoke for the first time. Calm and unshakable. If I desired wealth, Miss Porto, I would have accepted your bribe. I'm here because I love Lucas, not his portfolio, not his corporation. The man, something you clearly never did. Camila had no retort. She snatched her purse and fled, slamming the door. Then silence. Lucas, Sophia, and Silva looked at each other, and suddenly they were laughing not from happiness, but from pure release. The fight was done. It's finished, Sophia whispered, leaning into Lucas. Now he corrected, kissing her forehead. It's merely starting. In the months that followed, everything transformed. Lucas continued healing until he walked almost normally, only a slight hesitation when exhausted. He reclaimed full command of Mandus Holdings, terminated the treacherous associates, and revolutionized the firm. Absolute transparency, grants for underprivileged engineering students, and to cutting-edge free rehabilitation centers in Rio's most needy districts managed by Sophia. Half a year after the confrontation, in a private ceremony on the penthouse terrace, Lucas and Sophia were wed. 60 guests who authentically cherished them, not 300 for appearance. When the inaugural dance commenced, Lucas took Sophia's hand and guided her to the center, and beneath the stars, to the melody they had selected. Lucas Mandus danced with legs experts said would never function again. With the woman who had saved him when he was shattered. With a heart that had finally learned to love truly. You recall, Sophia whispered as they swayed. When you said I need you to love me, and I believed you implied something else. He smiled, pulling her nearer. I meant love. Real love. The type that doesn't depart when existence gets difficult. The type that holds your hand at your lowest. The type that makes you wish to improve. And you discovered it, she said, eyes glistening. No. He corrected gently. I discovered you. And that made all the difference. Years later, when questioned in interviews what was the most pivotal instant of his career, Lucas always gave the identical answer. It wasn't launching the firm or securing the initial major deal. It was the day Sophia Pereira entered my space and showed me that authentic power isn't never falling, it's possessing the bravery to rise again when everybody believes you're defeated. And when medical panels asked Sophia what was the greatest lesson of her profession, she said, we don't merely restore bodies, we restore spirits. Lucas didn't merely require his legs to operate again. He needed to trust in human decency again, to feel cherished for who he is, not what he could supply. When we provided that, his physique followed. Together they built something far greater than a corporate empire, a heritage of fresh starts, of affection that transcends class, of hope when science says there is none. And every night, in the bed where Lucas once believed he would die alone, he held her and murmured the identical terms from that life-altering day. I need you to love me. And Sophia, comprehending perfectly, always responded, we already are in every action. Every second we choose each other. That's making love, truly. And he would grin into the darkness, knowing he had found what he had sought his entire life unknowingly. Not achievement, meaning, not control, serenity, not flawlessness, authentic love. And that love was worth infinitely more than all the millions he had ever accumulated. This narrative teaches us that real love requires no perfect forms or ideal conditions. It only needs to people willing to see each other completely and love regardless. Lucas, learn that openness is not frailty, it is courage. Sophia, learn that her value was never linked to social standing but to the purity of her spirit. And together they demonstrated that when two souls meet at the precise correct moment, they can generate miracles logic cannot clarify. Authentic love never abandons. Authentic love supports. Authentic love transforms. And when you find it, cling tightly. No matter the hurdles, no matter what society states, no matter how impossible it appears. Because ultimately, love is always, always worth it. What did this story show you? Do you believe real love can genuinely transform lives? Share your reflections in the comments. Your perspective is important to us. If this narrative moved your spirit, please like this video and subscribe to Stories That Touch the Soul for more tales that stir, motivate, and remind us what truly counts in life. And kindly share this with someone who needs to believe in new beginnings. Thank you for accompanying us on this heartfelt voyage.